Welcome to the Board Game Rundown. Today we're going to show you how to play Nemesis by Awakened Realms. If you need to see how to set up the game, check out the previous video here or in the link in the description below. Now, like before, we've included links to several parts in the video to make it easier for you to navigate through the rules if you need to. Let's get started. Every turn consists of two phases, the player phase and the event phase. During the player phase, first draw from your action deck until you have 5 cards in hand. If you don't have enough cards in your action deck, shuffle your discard pile to make a new action deck and continue drawing until you have 5. Starting with whoever has the Space Cat, each player takes turns making 2 actions, or passing if you cannot make 2 actions. You may take 1, but then you must pass. Continue taking actions in clockwise order until every player has passed. Once you've passed, you cannot make another action until the next player phase. Every action in this game has the action symbol with a little number in it, indicating how many cards from your hand you must discard to use that action. There are 4 kinds of actions in the game: basic actions, card actions, item actions, and room actions. Everyone has access to the basic actions, which are written down on the character boards. As we go through the actions, we will also cover the core concepts of the game. The first basic action is movement. Players can move from one room along a corridor to a neighboring room by discarding 1 card from their hand, unless a door is blocking the way. To move, place your mini in the new room first. If it hasn't been explored yet, then you will turn over the exploration token on top. This tells you what happens when you walk into the room. These are the various exploration tokens. The fire symbol places a fire token into the room. Anyone who ends a 2-step action, not just by passing, in a room with a fire will take 1 light wound, which we will get to later in this video. Fire also injures intruders. If there are 9 fires on the board, the ship explodes and everyone dies. The malfunction symbol places a malfunction marker in the room. When a room has a malfunction marker on it, players cannot take that room's special action or use its computer. If there are 9 malfunction tokens on the board, the hull breaches and everyone dies. The door symbol makes a door slam shut behind you. As long as the corridor you just used doesn't already have a door token in it, place one upright in that corridor. If at any time that door is opened, just put the token back in the box. If, however, a door is destroyed, knock the door token over to show that it's open but cannot be closed again. The danger symbol makes every intruder in a neighboring room move into this one, as long as it's not already in combat. If there are no intruders in the neighboring rooms, then instead place a noise marker in every connected corridor that doesn't have one. We will get to the noise markers soon. The slime symbol puts a clear status marker on the slime section of your character board. You can only have 1 slime marker at a time. The silent symbol means that nothing happens, and you don't really need to make a noise roll, unless you have slime on your character board. If you do, treat the silent symbol as if it were the danger symbol. Whenever you move into a room, you make a noise roll. This represents the strange sounds that you hear as you move throughout the ship. The only times you don't make a noise roll are if you are moving into a room that already has a player or intruder in it, or if you revealed a silence exploration token, or if you revealed the danger exploration token. After making a noise roll, reveal the room itself if it was unexplored, and turn it so that the small arrow on the map points to the same number on the tile as you revealed on the exploration token. This is the number of items that you can find in the room by using the search action. Then discard the exploration token. The search action we will get to later. To make a noise roll, roll a 10-sided noise die. Whichever number shows up, place a yellow noise marker in that corridor, connecting to your new room. If the corridor rolled has a red dot, place a noise marker in the technical corridor's space. The noise die also has a silence face and a danger face, which are treated the same as the exploration tokens. If any corridor, including the technical corridor, gets a second noise marker in it. Immediately resolve an encounter. Remember, each corridor only gets one noise token, not one per side. If you want to make a move but you don't want to risk rolling that pesky noise die, you can take a different action called Careful Movement. It works exactly the same as normal movement, but it will cost you 2 cards instead of 1, and so you don't roll the die, but you get to pick which adjoining corridor the noise token will go into. Just remember, you will still place a noise token during Careful Movement. To resolve an encounter, first you remove all noise markers from the surrounding corridors, including the technical corridor if it's connected. Pull out an intruder token from the bag and put the appropriate intruder mini on the board by checking the symbol on the intruder board. Next, look at the number on the back of it. If you have fewer than that many cards in your hand, the intruder gets a surprise attack on you. Next, put the intruder token next to the board. If this is the first encounter of the game, all players now pick one of their 2 objective cards and discard the other. This is now your win condition for the rest of the game. So you found yourself in combat. What do you do? When you're in a room with an intruder, you cannot use any cards that have this not in combat icon on them. Other actions will have the only in combat icon as well. These can help you with combat, but in general, you will have 4 choices. Use an appropriate action card, shoot, make a melee attack, or run away. Running away requires you to make a move action, but when you do, each intruder that you are in combat with gets a free attack against you. If you survive, follow the normal movement rules. The shoot action needs you to be carrying a gun with ammo. First, remove the ammo. Then roll the 6-sided combat die. A blank misses. The creeper symbol hits a larva or creeper for 1 damage. The adult symbol hits a larva, creeper, or adult for 1 damage. The hit icon will hit anything, and the 2 hit icon will deal 2 damage to anything. Then you check to see if the intruder dies. The melee action is only for the desperate and criminally insane. If you have no weapon, you can punch it. First, draw a Contamination card and put it on top of your action discard pile. We'll go over Contamination cards later in the video. Then you roll the die. A blank means you miss and take a serious wound. We'll go over wounds later in the video as well. A creeper symbol means you deal 1 damage to a larva or creeper, but miss anything else and get a serious wound. The adult symbol deals 1 damage to an adult and below, but again, if you miss, you will get a serious wound. Finally, if you roll either a 1 or a 2 hit icon, you deal 1 damage to it. Only 1. For each damage, put a red token on the intruder mini itself. Damage is cumulative. Every time an intruder takes damage, you get to see if it survives. Larvae and eggs straight up die. However, for creepers and adults, you draw the top card from the Intruder Attack deck and look at the number in the upper left-hand corner. That shows the temporary hit points the intruder has for this round, anywhere from 2 to 6. Damage on intruders is cumulative, so if the total damage on the intruder is equal to or more than the temporary hit points, the intruder is killed. Replace the mini with an intruder carcass token and put its token back into the box. If instead of a number you get an arrow, the intruder runs away, using the intruder movement rules detailed in the event phase part of this video. For a breeder or a queen, you follow the same rules above, except instead of drawing just 1 card, you draw 2 and add the numbers together. If either one is an arrow, then that intruder just runs away instead. Next, we have items. In Nemesis, items are represented by cards, and heavy objects are represented by tokens or minis. These include character and intruder corpses and intruder eggs. Heavy objects and every item that has the heavy symbol must go in one of your hand slots, and picking up a heavy object takes an action and costs an action card. Every character comes with 2 or 3 quest items, which start off locked. To unlock them, first you have to meet the conditions on the back of the card, then discard a card from your hand. The best way to find other items is to use the search action, which is in your action deck. To search, pay the cost of the action, Then rotate the room that you are in so that the arrow on the board points to the next lowest number on the room edge. Next, draw 2 cards of the same color as the room. If you're in a white room, you get to pick which color to draw from. Put one of the 2 cards that you drew into your card holder or hand slot and discard the other. If the item is a weapon, it comes with 1 ammo. There is no limit to the number of non-heavy items that you can have, but if you want to discard or drop an item or object, you may do so for free at any time by placing the object's token in your room or discarding item cards. Items all have an action and a cost on them. If you have an item that is 1 use only, discard it afterwards. Some items have a component icon in the upper left corner. These items can be combined with others and turned into a crafted item. Crafting costs a card and an action. There are 4 crafted items that you can make, and their recipes are on the character board. Look through the blue deck at your leisure to help you decide if you want to craft one. When you do, simply discard the ingredient items and pick the chosen item out of the blue crafted deck. The last basic action is trade. Players may use an action to trade with all other characters in the same room as they are in. You can trade items and objects, but not ammo. Most of the rooms have actions in them as well that you can take by discarding 2 cards. Room actions are explained in detail on the summary sheet near the back of the rulebook. However, there are some you should know about which we will now cover. And remember that you can't use a room's action if you're in combat. The escape pods. If you need to get off the ship in a hurry, you can try to use the escape pods. First, you must unlock the escape pod. You can do this by using the hatch control system room, but they all automatically unlock the first time a player dies, or when the self-destruct sequence reaches the yellow 3 space. Although the escape pods are located on the sides of the ship, to reach them you must get through the appropriate evacuation room. As long as there is no intruder in the room with you, pay the costs of the room and make a noise roll. If there is still no intruder in the room with you after the noise roll, move your token into one of the 2 available spaces on the unlocked pod. Now you may choose to launch immediately or wait for another player to join you. If you launch, remove the pod and all minis and players in it from the game. Then wait for the end of the game to determine if you've won. If you decide to be nice and wait, you must pass every round until you decide to launch on the first round of a player phase. You may also leave the pod at any time, but if you've already passed for that player phase, you are still passed. Finally, if an intruder enters the evacuation room that you entered the pod from, you must leave the pod and return to the room. The generator allows a player to set or stop the self-destruct sequence. Place a clear status marker on the 6 on the countdown marker at the bottom of the board. Every turn, the countdown marker moves down along with the time track. To turn it off, simply go to the generator and use the room action again. When the countdown marker hits the yellow 3, the escape pods all unlock, but the countdown can no longer be shut off. Remember, you cannot start the self-destruct sequence if any player is currently hibernating. The nest is where the intruders keep their eggs. Although you cannot search this room, you can use the room's action to pick up one of the eggs on the intruder board and place it in one of your character's hand slots. But then you must make a noise roll. If there is a fire in the nest, it will destroy 1 egg every event phase. Just be careful carrying those eggs around, as they have a tendency to hatch. When there are no eggs left in the nest, place a red marker in the room to show that the nest has been destroyed. If you are in a room with an uncarried egg, you may attack it. Any type of hit will destroy an egg, and you do not have to draw contamination cards if you're using melee. Grenades will destroy 2 eggs at once, but when you're trying to break those eggs, you'll have to make a noise roll each time after. If you have an egg, intruder carcass, or character corpse that needs to be analyzed, take it to the laboratory. Here you can scan the objects for clues to the intruder's weakness. Flip over the corresponding intruder weakness card on the intruder board for a bonus that lasts the rest of the game. Some objectives require you to send a signal. Do so at the comms room by placing a clear status marker on the signal section of the board. Want to see where the ship is headed? The cockpit is the place to be. This room has 2 actions. You can check the coordinates as one action by secretly looking at the coordinates card, or you can change the destination by moving the marker. However, you can't change the destination if a character is hibernating. In order for the Nemesis to not blow up, at least 2 of its engines must be functioning when the time track reaches 0. You can check this in the engine control room, or by going directly to the engine rooms themselves. To check an engine status, secretly look at the engine status tile on top of that engine room, and then put it back. If you have a card or item that allows you to fix or break the engine, then you get to secretly look at the 2 engine tokens and put them back however you like. But if you change their status, you must tell. Remember that the token on top is the current state of the engine. Ready for the trip home? The Hibernatorium lets you enter hibernation and prepare for the Nemesis to jump to ludicrous speed. However, the hibernation chamber is locked until the time track hits the blue 8. Once they're unlocked, get to the Hibernatorium and make sure there are no intruders there. Then make a noise roll. If no intruder arrives, congratulations, you finally get to go to bed. Remove your mini and enjoy watching the crew get slaughtered. Otherwise, you'll need to try it again after you get rid of that new intruder. The event phase. After all the players have passed, the player phase is over and the event phase begins. This is where the game tries to kill you. First, move the status marker down the time track by 1. If the self-destruct is active, move it as well. Next, the intruders attack. Each intruder in a room with a player will get 1 attack. If there's more than 1 player in a room with an intruder, the intruder will attack the player with the fewer action cards in their hand. And in case of a tie, it will attack the player who started earliest in the player phase. To resolve an attack, check to see if the intruder is a larva. If not, then draw the top card from the Intruder Attack pile. Every Intruder Attack card has 1 or more symbols just above the name of the card. If the intruder attacking you matches one of those symbols, read and apply the text of the card, otherwise it misses. If the attacking intruder is a larva, you don't need to draw a card, it just crawls into your chest. Remove the larva mini from the map and put it on your character board. Then give the character a Contamination card. If there's already a larva there, remove both larva minis, your chest bursts, and you die. Place a creeper in the room and your corpse. There are 2 types of damage in this game, light wounds and serious wounds. When you take a light wound, place a red marker on your character board over the 1 light wound area. A second light wound moves it down. You take a third light wound, you remove the marker and draw a serious wound card. Serious wounds are placed face up next to your character board and come with a disadvantage, like holding fewer cards or using more for certain actions. If you suffer 3 serious wounds, any new wound will kill you. Drop all heavy objects in the room you're in and replace your mini with a character corpse token. If you want to play with the intruder player action deck, this player may now play as the intruders using the rules at the back of the book. You can always heal wounds in certain rooms or with certain items. In order to heal a serious wound, first you have to dress it. When a serious wound is dressed, flip the card face down. It no longer applies its text, but it still is a serious wound, and it can still kill you. Once dressed, you can then heal the wound with a heal action. You discard it. The emergency room can also revive a fallen comrade. Drag their corpse into the room and use its action. The player puts their mini in the room, removes all light wounds, and dresses all serious wounds. When you are asked to draw a Contamination card, take 1 from the Contamination card pile and put it on top of your action card discard pile. You'll notice that the backs of these cards look the same as your action cards. They will be shuffled in with the rest of your action cards. From now on, whenever you draw a Contamination card, you cannot use that card to pay for any actions. They also have a hidden code on them that can only be revealed by scanning the card. Follow the action to determine which cards will get scanned. Take the scanner and slide the Contamination card into it. There are 5 lines of text, and if any one of those lines says infected, congratulations, it's a xenomorph. When you find an infected card, it remains in your deck, and you get to place a larva mini on your character board. If there's already a larva mini there, you better hope that your will is up to date. Remove your character mini from the board, replace it with a character corpse and a creeper. After the intruders, if any, attack, any intruder in a room that is currently on fire takes 1 injury from it. Next is the event card. Draw the top card from the event deck. In the upper left corner, there are intruder symbols, and in the upper right, a corridor number. All out-of-combat intruders that match the symbols on the card move along that corridor number. If there's a closed door in the way, the intruder stays put, but destroys the door. Any intruder that moves into a technical corridor climbs back into the belly of the ship to heal. You remove its mini and return its token to the intruder bag. After the intruder's move, read the main text on the event card and resolve it. May God have mercy on your soul. The last step of the event phase is the intruder bag development, which represents the intruders growing and multiplying. The first player draws a random token from the bag and resolves it. If you draw a larva, remove that token and replace it with an adult. Drawing a creeper removes the creeper but replaces it with a breeder. Adult and breeder tokens force all non-combat players to make a noise roll in order, and the token is returned to the bag. If you draw the queen and there is a character in the nest, the queen appears in the nest and you check to see if she gets a surprise attack. If there are no characters in the nest, add an egg to the intruder board and return her token to the bag. Finally, if there is a blank token, the token gets returned to the bag and you add an adult token in there, if there is one. Once the development is over, start a new turn by discarding any cards you like and then drawing until you have 5 action cards in hand. Then pass the first player token clockwise. The game ends when the time track or self-destruct reach 0, when the ship explodes from having 9 fire or malfunction markers, or when all the players are dead, escaped, or hibernating. The moment the time track reaches 0, the Nemesis goes into hyperjump and atomizes all characters that are not currently hibernating, but it will leave the intruders alive. If the self-destruct was left on, then the ship explodes mid-flight. If any character survives, go on to the victory check. First, see if you've survived. Scan all your contamination cards. If at least one is infected, shuffle your entire action deck with all of your contamination cards and draw the top 4. If any of the cards you draw are contamination cards, you die. If you've got a larva on your board, you are automatically considered infected, and just shuffle and draw the top 4. Second, check your objective. Every objective is different, but if you haven't met the requirements, you lose, even if you live. Cooperative mode requires all the objectives to have been met. If 2 of them require a signal to be sent, then 2 characters must have sent a signal. Finally, most objectives require that the ship and you make it to Earth in one piece. To do that, first you check the engines by revealing the top token on each. If at least 2 of them are damaged, Nemesis explodes mid-flight. Then check the coordinates. Unless your objective states otherwise, all characters die if the destination is anywhere except Earth. Any player who survives and meets their objective wins. Nemesis can be intense. It's a cinematic experience every time you play. We like to come up with our own stories, and it adds flavor to what's happening in the game. We hope you have as much fun playing this game as we do. From the Board Game Rundown, I'm Spencer. See you later.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.